All right, what is up, everybody? We're about a minute or two early, so we just wanted to come in here, let everybody know we're here. I'm going to be joined by Eddie Levine and Greg Gilpin. It is Gilpin, right? Just
yeah.
Okay.
But it's Levine.
Is it?
I don't care. It's like whatever.
We're going to be chatting wholesale tonight. These two guys absolutely crush it, not only on Amazon, but other marketplaces as well. So have your questions ready, and we'll get started in a few minutes. Hey, how's it going, man? If you guys want to put in, where you're from, you can start putting in questions, whatever you guys want to do. Like I said, we'll get started in just a few minutes. We'll let a few more people get in here.
Darien, Connecticut.
Somewhere.
Oh, New Zealand. Oh, that's
nice.
Fun.
Yeah.
York, Houston, Orlando.
York.
Eric just says, hey guys.
What's going on, Eric? I'm guessing that's Eric from New York.
South Carolina, St. George. Wow, we got a whole international crowd here.
Yeah, no kidding. What time is it in New Zealand? I have to check.
It's like probably 9-ish, 10-ish in the morning, something like that.
I'm showing 12 p.m.
Okay, well then, I'm going to have a tough time when I go to Australia then.
He tells time like he does math.
Close. That's 2 hours off.
Yeah, guys, I think this is going to be really great.
Howard is on this? Oh, Lord. Kick him
Howard. Hey, Howard.
off. Kick him off.
Is Howard in Chicago with you guys?
Unfortunately.
Yes, unfortunately.
Nice.
I need to establish my perimeter around my premises because of Howard.
I did not queue up Howard's theme music. I apologize.
Oh, Andy gave it to him. From Vegas. Yeah.
All right, we're gonna give this one more minute, and then we're gonna start digging in, and everybody who hasn't made it can join as they please. So we'll go one more minute, everybody, and we'll get started. We had quite a few questions in the Facebook group, which I thought was great. But first, I kind of want to get into how you guys got started. I kind of know the story, but I don't know the whole thing, and so I'm fascinated by how that came about and how Greg has put up with you for so long, Eddie.
That one we can't answer.
I mean, do you want the short story or the long story? Because the short story is basically I had this crazy idea, and I was like, hey, Greg, you want to join? He's like, sure.
Were you guys in college, or was it after college?
No, it was after.
Okay.
We both worked together previously. So, I knew him for a couple of years, and I didn't really plan on stumbling into this business. I just kind of been digging around online one day at my desk and found this opportunity that people were actually selling something other than books on Amazon. So I'm like, hey, I can do that. One thing led to another, and within 2-3 months we were selling all kinds of stuff. So it just kind of evolved.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
No, I just saw what Eddie was doing. I was a little bit bored at the time and kind of figured, why the heck not? I can get involved in that. So I pretty much just tacked on. I don't even think I asked for permission. I just kind of just started doing it. Yeah. It just snowballed from there. So.
Were you guys both in the hotel? You guys were both in the hotel business?
No,
IT
company. Yeah.
Okay. All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and really get started. Eddie and Greg are here from Wholesale Breakthrough, and I would imagine they're going to drop a ton of bombs. So I hope you guys have a pen and paper handy, and let's go ahead and dig in, guys. So first, I appreciate you being here. I know you guys are busy, and I know that Eddie, I'm surprised you're actually home. So I think this will be fun. So we know how you got started. What did you get started doing?
So the very first thing we sold was or first lot that we sold was a liquidation lot that we had bought online. It was the one that I commonly tell the story in my presentations that I had took a gamble on. I placed a sealed bid to buy that just, without knowing what the competition was. Put in $5,000 thinking there's absolutely no way that's going to be accepted. Turns out it was. I remember this day sitting at my desk and getting that text message from Capital One saying that your personal credit card has been charged $5,000, which for an entry-level salesperson at the time, that was petrifying because I had absolutely no idea how I was going to pay that off or deal with the 6 pallets that were going to be dropped off at my front door in like 3 days. So yeah, that was the very first thing. It was a mix of, God, if I remember right, like cell phone cases, keyboards, wireless keyboards, and dish TV satellite like receivers or satellite dishes. Yeah.
How much of it went to Amazon and how much of it had to be offloaded in another channel?
Say pretty much 85-90% of it. Yeah.
At the time when we first started, I mean, it was either Amazon or the other channel was a dumpster. So
Yeah.
everything went to Amazon. But yeah, I mean, we started off, we primarily did liquidation for a little while. We did the sealed lots and just various sites for that. But we quickly got into, we did RA pretty heavily, but we kind of did on a grander scale, if you will. So we did more of traveling from city to city and buying in massive quantities and shipping it back pallet-wise to us. And we just had like everybody who's doing RA or OA, we had a system down. It worked very, very well. But we just knew it wasn't sustainable. So, but that, I mean, within the first year we eclipsed 100K, and then by the end of the second year, as I think when we started to hit 7 figures on RA alone. But I mean, that was a full-time beast of itself.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Keeping that up.
It was great. It was great during the holiday season when the stores were actually open for 16 hours a day. That was very helpful.
Oh yeah,
it was a great way to see the country.
What made you guys realize that wasn't sustainable? Was it just the fact that you guys didn't want to be the ones doing it, or you didn't want to replace yourselves, or you don't think it would financially be able to sustain itself long term?
I think it's more the last one. I mean, doing it was fun. I love traveling, and I'd still do it if it was an option. But I got 2 kids and stuff, so it's harder to travel. But in terms of like, we saw kind of the big picture, we knew that it's not sustainable. So you talk about Amazon having a lot of control over your business and people worry about risk and whatnot. You add another layer of complexity where you're pretty much at the mercy of what store policies are going to do. We dealt with it every day. Things changed. Our system, luckily, we knew it was coming. We switched over to wholesale before it happened. But one day, all of a sudden, the website changes. Your OA business could be tanked just by the change of a policy, and that's what happened to us. I mean, the company that we were sourcing all of our RA from, we no longer do anything with, and that's just because they changed their policy that didn't mesh with the strategy we were doing. So I think it was more the latter. We knew it wasn't sustainable long time, especially if we wanted to grow to the level that we wanted to grow at. There's just not enough people on the street, and we can only fit so much in rented vans and stuff like that.
I think you have to also remember that in 2012 when we started the business, Amazon, what they would allow and what the permissions you had to get for your account or the pre-approvals and the ungating and all that stuff, that was like a foreign term in 2012. I mean, we were selling Pioneer and Sony and Samsung and all those high-end, like, huge brands, right? And with no problem, with no ungating and no, customer complaints or Amazon wanted to see your invoices and none of that. So now it's just a different ballgame,
Mm-hmm. That's a good point, and that kind of brings up a question I'm curious about. Do you think that Amazon today is better than it was in the Wild West days, if you will?
For us, yeah.
Yeah.
If you can adapt, if you're someone who is willing to change and not set in all your ways, then absolutely. I think the potential is sky high. But if you are set in, how things worked back in 2012, you're going to have a tough time. And I'll say the same thing. If we do another interview in 2020, I'll be like, hey, back in 2018, you could do this. It's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we're already looking beyond wholesale. Not that we're leaving wholesale or anything. It's still our primary focus, but we're looking at how do we differentiate ourselves compared to what other people are doing. But if we were doing like what we were doing in 2012, going to Black Friday and just buying as many video games as you can get your hand on. Yeah, it was great, but not knowing if you're then gonna have to pay you $1,500 a pop just to get the thing online to be sold. It's so much risk if we were using our old model. So it's great for us who are, we source 100% legitimate products. We have the legitimate relationships with all of our suppliers and our vendors and our manufacturers and exclusivity on certain lines. It's great because Amazon really does, I think, protect us more than they used to. In terms of keeping, there's always going to be somebody who's hopping on your listing with some counterfeits or whatnot like that, but they are much harder and much stricter on it, that I feel more comfortable that who we are competing with is legitimate competitors. We're not dealing with as much mom and pop out of the basement of the house kind of thing that's just tanking our price or something for whatever reason.
Fascinating. Let's see. Waddy's got a good question. I'll get into that a little bit. So what would you suggest for the person who wants to take their business from RA and OA and they want to transition to wholesale? What would be the roadmap that you would give them at a high level, of course, since we're on a webinar, but what's the roadmap that you would give them to be able to transition effectively, especially if this is their living now?
I think if you ask me, I think I'd break it up into two different things. One being the sales and the supplier and the relationship side, and then two being the logistical, operational, accounting, financial side. Starting with that logistical, operational, financial stuff, you have to really have a plan and strategy in terms of how you're going to grow your business. So where's the current space right now? Do you have plans to maybe get your own space? Do you have the budget to do that? What's the space around you? What kind of funding do you have? Do you have cash reserves in the bank? Do you have credit cards? Do you have access to loans? Is Amazon doing their lending program, for example? Like in 2012, we didn't have that. That wasn't even an option. So it was very different again then than it is now. But so those are some of the questions that I would think on the operational side, because knowing that I'm going to be starting to bring in a lot of things potentially on pallets, or maybe a half to a quarter truck or something like that, where I'm going to need a lot of space, and doing that in a driveway or through via a car is not going to be sufficient. So I'd be thinking about some of those things. And then on the relationship aspect of the business, when you're trying to find vendors and build those relationships to source product, I would just go into it knowing that the wholesale model has become very, very popular, and people are jumping on board every single day and starting this business. It does not mean that for us, I can speak for Greg and I, we don't feel threatened in what we're doing, but you just have to keep your head ahead of the pack, right? And you have to differentiate yourself, like Greg was saying. So I talk a lot about it when I present in other places, but I speak highly of the value proposition that you have to offer to vendors, because again, anybody can sell product from a vendor. Anybody can buy a product and list it online and sell it for a profit. Not everybody can actually provide the value, servicing a brand's needs, understanding their pain points, and helping them understand e-commerce. And that's kind of what we go after.
Go ahead, Greg.
I mean, the only thing I'd really add is you also have to understand a lot of it is sales on yourself. Going into just basic things, you got a Gmail email address. If you're not actually an official corporation, if you let them know that you are clearly doing something just out of the basement of your house, it's a turnoff, because you have to understand, like, from the other side, let's just take like Fisher Price or something. If you're going to Fisher Price and be like, hey, I'm going to create all these demands and I need this and that, and I want to get into your product, I want to sell it, and it's all about me. And they're looking at you and like, we have 7,000 people emailing us every day that want to sell our product. You are, like, the way you present yourself and what you bring to the table, if you are just like a consumer who's trying to get a discount for their own personal needs, it's nothing but a headache for them. And so, it's not even just so much you need to lie, but you do need to be incorporated. You do need to have business websites. You do need to have legitimate email addresses, and you need to have an operation set up at some point. Now, just because you're small, that doesn't mean anything. You can still purchase large. You can learn how to outsource and have things shipped to different warehouses if you can't get it into your own personal driveway or whatever it might be. But you have to understand, you have to speak business to business, and not, I'm just trying to do this flip quick on Amazon and I'm trying to get into the biggest brands I can think of off the top of my head.
You don't have to be a big operation, physically and in reality, but you have to look it. You have to be convincing enough that you really have that down well.
I mean, we get through, I'd say 80% of the conversation, the fact that we say we have our own warehouse, and we can handle a truck, that blows at least 80% of the people that they talk to away. So if they're going to look at somebody else, they're like, oh, okay, we're just going to go straight with them because they can at least handle half of the daily operations that I don't need to. Like, they understand what a truck is coming in and how to deal with the logistics of that, and they're going to be able to buy in bulk when they need. If they want to get a discount, they're not talking about one single box, and they're not going to be emailing me every day with a problem on one small little order, something like that. So it's just like that alone sets us apart from most of the people that they have to deal with on a daily basis, especially in the online world.
That's something I don't necessarily think about when I think wholesale. You know, I think you're buying pallets all the time, and you know, I always forget that there are people who, you know, are buying boxes or, you know, half a pallet or whatever, trying to. That's a good idea.
And we do. We place a $600 order with somebody. There's nothing against that, but it's just in the grand scheme of the relationship, they know we're a legitimate operation. So at that point, it doesn't, oh, you have to buy $15,000 worth of stuff before I blink an eye.
Right. Do you guys, I know you guys have a unique selling proposition where, you know, you do have your own warehouse. Do you think it's okay to use a prep center instead if you can't get your own warehouse at the time?
Mm-hmm. Okay. There's nothing wrong with prep centers in my mind. You just have to understand that it's a risk, and you have to go to whatever level you're willing to take when it comes to your business. So if we have a prep center near us that we do like, we've seen it in person. We know they got a solid operation. They understand what some of the requirements that we need are before we're going to ship to Amazon. So we're comfortable with them on certain stuff. If it saves us money, we'll send it to them. There's other people, you know, if you're willing to ship from FOB China straight to a prep center and straight to Amazon, your prerogative. I wouldn't, because I'm not willing to risk my business like that. If I haven't seen the operation, I don't know if they're on top of their game, because there's a problem. Nobody ever comes back to the prep center. It comes back to you.
Yeah, I mean, so, some vendors will actually, not often, but some vendors, like Greg was saying, will prefer you have your own operation. I mean, I had a meeting with a vendor 2 weeks ago who was local to me, well, 40 miles from me or so, and a bunch of the questions he was asking me was about my own operation. You know, can I see the warehouse? Can we come up there for lunch one day? Can I see how you guys operate, how you organize your product and whatever? Which, you know, I have an open door policy from my partners and my vendors. That's not a problem. But, you know, understand that sometimes, you know, it's not always, but sometimes you're going to have vendors who want to see, you know, in person what they're dealing with.
Absolutely. I would imagine that's especially important if, say, you're getting a direct relationship with a large brand like Hasbro, or I mean, I would imagine, you know, I don't know.
I think it's probably more common when you're working with a brand exclusively and you're responsible for bringing in the majority or all of their Amazon, for example, revenue, because they're really putting a lot of trust in you, so they have to know that you're legitimate for what you're saying.
Okay. Let's see here. There was a good question here. Oh, how do you, or what is your guys' follow-up strategy, if you have one, if a vendor says, you know, we really don't want any more Amazon sellers?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to answer this a little bit differently because I don't really have a strategy for that, because I tackle it differently from the start. I'm not going up to a vendor and ask them, hey, can I sell a product and can I just get a wholesale account with you? I'm profiling them to begin with. I'm a big fan of trade shows, and I'm doing my due diligence before I even contact them on if it's a brand or a vendor that I even want to carry, if it's got the potential that fits into our criteria, and then I'm selling them on our value before I even get that far in the equation. So if it's someone that I actually want to target, and then I actually I do target, I reach out to them initially, and they tell me that they have no Amazon sellers. Usually I can mitigate that because I'm coming to them with some valuable information that they are going to want to hear or see, like, hey, there's a problem with these listings, or hey, I'm noticing you're missing something, or you could be improving in this area or that area. I'm giving them something that I notice as a professional e-commerce seller who's built the business that we have, that I know can benefit them, and I'm asking the question of, hey, why aren't you doing this, or why is this piece missing? So then it gives them something to think about, and it shows that I'm actually interested in their success, not just my bottom line.
I think that's huge. I think that we as a community of FBA sellers, especially if you are just dipping your toe into wholesale or you really want to transition into wholesale, we undervalue the knowledge we have about the Amazon platform I would imagine that most vendors and sales reps, they know nothing.
I can't tell you the amount of companies who are, like you said, completely clueless. I mean, I go to some specialty, not trade shows, but some call them educational events that a lot of the brands will attend to build their brand. Shop Talk in Vegas that I just went to. Some of you might have seen that. I posted a bunch of live videos from that. That's a great example. Tons of brands, nobody's selling anything there, but tons of brand owners, and they're all talking about e-commerce strategy. So it was interesting to sit in all these rooms for 4 days and listen to hear what they're looking for, or what they don't understand, or what they're looking for help with. I mean, it was just mind blowing. So and I probably was one of the very few Amazon resellers there. I think I met maybe 4 other ones, and there was like over 2,000 people there, or over like an insane number. More than that, way more than that, but just an insane number. I walked into brand after brand, but I was happy to be one of the few because it told me that I would be, one of the only ones picking up that valuable information that we use to, build our business.
It was professional recon is what it was.
Pretty much.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. Jan says, it seems like a big financial leap to move out of your home into a warehouse. I'm going to kind of tweak her question a little bit here. She says, how much capital should you have to make that leap? Well, if you don't have any wholesale accounts, but what made you guys take that leap? And where were you in your business when you did decide to open up your own warehouse?
Great. You want to take that one?
Yeah, sure. So I would say, you got to kind of project in the future where you want to get to, but you don't need to go from an office like I'm sitting in, like this spare bedroom in my house, to a 7,000 square foot warehouse. There's no need. That'd be a stupid move. You'd sink yourself right away. He only took 1 lot to his house. We immediately then got a storage unit. And you can start, and what we did, we went from 10 by 10 to 10 by 20 to 20 by 40 to, what was it, like 20 by 50 or something like that. And at that point, we were using a specialty storage unit that was more expensive, but they allowed truck deliveries, and they would sign for packages when we weren't available and do all sorts of value adds like we do. They would do value adds for us. And so we went there. And at that point, though, when we started to outgrow one of their largest spaces, even though we could still fit multiple trucks, it just came down to, we were paying, I don't remember, almost $2,000 for, let's just say, 1,500 square feet.
Not even like 800, something like that.
Something like that. And so then it's like, okay, do we continue to pay an astronomical amount of rent here, or do we make this choice to jump up to a warehouse? And then you jump up to like, okay, for $2,000 for the same amount of rent, you could quadruple your space. That's kind of the evolution of growth, but it's a completely different ballgame. When you're dealing with storage units, we were dealing with a month-to-month lease, or maybe a 6-month lease. So we could get out of it any time. Now we're negotiating 7 to 10 year agreements with out clauses when we need to, but we have to forecast of, okay, this is good for now. Will it give us enough growth, but not too much that we're just paying for wasted space? So in terms of capital, there's no dollar amount I can give you. You just kind of got to grow with your business and understand where you're going from. But there was a significant capital investment moving out of a storage unit and into a warehouse, because then we had to get things like, we had to set up multiple offices, and we had to set up reception area, and we had to set up racking, and we had a forklift, and all sorts of costs that are associated with that. Insurance completely changes, where we're insured by the unit. Now we have to insure ourselves and all sorts of stuff like that. So
keep in mind, the other thing you want to keep in the back of your head is when you're in a space and you're looking for a new space, you have to consider how much time you are spending on the operational side, or people that are working for you on the operational side, either way. But if you're spending the majority or an absorbent amount of time, like logistically trying to get to stuff, or playing shuffle the deck, as I like to call it, like trying to get to the back because you need to move the pallet out or something, and then everything is in your way, and like you're spending 3 hours of your day just moving stuff around, that's actually costing you money. So 3 hours of your day when you're a business owner is very valuable. That can be costing you thousands of dollars. So when you look at a space that might be costing you $2,000 for a month, it's not even a question. So you got to kind of put your thinking cap on in terms of what are you wasting time on.
Absolutely. I've got a couple of my own questions, and then I'm going to start kind of digging into some of the questions that were in Facebook. One, how many decisions do you guys make where you shoot first and then aim?
90%. I don't have time to overthink anything. I make horrible decisions. I don't want to say every day, but God, I made some bad decisions. But I don't have time to sit here and dwell over stupid things. The things that I dwell about are whether or not I really need to pay the extra $10 on a flight to get me, a little bit of extra leg room. I mean, that's the stuff that I worry about. Like, do I really need to spend $5 on this meal box, or can I wait until I land and then go out to like a $3.50 meal? Like, that's the crap that I'll spend more time worrying about that than if it comes down to making a decision to buy something at the warehouse that's going to sufficiently, save money. If I know I've got the funds, we know we've got it set up in the budget, we're not done. Whether it's buying something, I know something. We'll make the decision right now on what we're going to buy. We know things are going to change in a week or two, or when it's going to get to us. But I don't have the luxury of sitting here and trying to anticipate the future to a certain extent to overanalyze and then waste hours and go to sleep thinking, did I really make that right decision or not? Who knows? But I don't. You gotta move. You gotta be willing to make a risk and take a chance and do whatever it takes.
That's great. What is your guys's, or what can you tell us about your process for finding? Not, I don't want to try to get you to spill any secret sauce, but other than trade shows, is there any, for people who can't necessarily travel as much as Eddie does? What would be the way that you would tell them, hey, here's how you should start looking for wholesalers. Here's how you should approach them. Do you dial for dollars? Do you send out 60 emails a day? What do you think is the strategy that works today the best?
Well, look, I mean, I like trade shows, obviously, like I said, because it's that face-to-face interaction. But just because you can't travel doesn't mean you can't leverage a trade show for your own resources. You go to a trade show website or the website of a Las Vegas Convention Center or some kind of venue. Chances are they're going to list the vendor list and the exhibitor list, and a lot of them are going to have contact information for you right there. So you could do it from in front of a PC. Absolutely, people have built the businesses that way, and they're very successful. I'm not doubting that whatsoever. I'm just telling you that you have to understand that people who are getting in front of vendors physically are making a bigger impression. I mean, it's that face-to-face interaction. But I would use resources like the website, like those exhibitor lists to get them. Once you start working with vendors as well, I would start asking for referrals and people they know in the community who might be able to use your services or might be able to work with you as well. Because especially if you're working with vendors who are like, for example, if you target a certain category, a lot of vendors know each other. They move from company to company, and they can probably refer you to their friend or someone they used to work with or someone they just met, somewhere. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many vendors of mine have given me referrals to other people that I've never met at a trade show, but just they put in a good word, and that's all behind a screen. So
I think that's a huge takeaway. I sold insurance before I, started doing e-commerce, and I didn't get off the phone without asking for a referral. And you hear about guys, I met a guy over the fence mowing my yard, and he happened to work for a distributor. But I never hear anybody say, ask your vendors for referrals. It makes sense, but I'm just not sure how many people actually do it.
I mean, I also believe in the power of LinkedIn like crazy. Again, people bounce around like no other, and I follow everyone that I'm connected with. So when someone leaves a company, it sucks because you might lose a connection with somebody, but I follow where they're going. And if they're going somewhere that is another company that's selling product or maybe something even better, I mean, it's a totally new opportunity. Perfect case in point. I had a vendor of mine who left, and she went to work with one of the brands that I didn't really find very beneficial for our business, but she then brought me back a new platform to sell on that actually worked for a lot of products that I do carry. So, nice. You never know. I mean, it's just things happen for a reason. I like to say all the time. And I just, for as much as sometimes things suck, it usually works out. I'll tell you that much.
Awesome. All right, let's dig into some questions here. Robert says, I've been doing wholesale for 2 months, and it just seems I'm getting accounts where prices aren't worth it. I've done the Google research everyone says to do, but I'm wondering, are there any tips on finding great accounts where I could actually find some profit?
I think a lot of this goes back to your relationship and your understanding of the brand itself. if a brand is not in control of their offering of their product line, you're going to have a tough time. If a brand doesn't understand, seller enforcement, it doesn't have a map strategy, doesn't know who their sellers are, doesn't know where their products are being distributed at, you're going to find this is going to happen a lot. So I think understanding kind of what your brand's e-commerce strategy is going to help you a lot more. And if you find a brand that has these problems where you can't profit on a single product, I'd be very upfront and honest. I just tell them, look, again, because you should be honest from the front in how you're selling the product. They should know you're selling it online or wherever. I've done this. I've told the brand, look, I've run your price list, or I've analyzed your price list, or whatever, and I can't make a single dime on any of these, 500, 1,000, 3,000 SKUs, whatever it is. And I asked them, can we try to talk about the reasons why this might be happening? Because wholesale in general should be half off of retail. There absolutely should be margin for you to work with if it's, if there's a healthy resale value, if the retail is being held up. So chances are, if this is happening to you, there's something on the brand side of the equation that needs to be addressed, and that's what we at least work with brands on fixing.
Is that often? Are you finding that's, and I'm not bad mouthing retail, arbitrage or anything like that, but is it you're finding brands are being devalued online because people are flipping the clearance and they are seeing that race to the bottom? How much of it comes down to that, and how much of it is, well, it's just a crappy listing and things like that?
I mean, you're going to have a mix of both. You're always going to have people who are just going out in RA. They're buying some stuff. They think it's going to sell great. So, and then they put a polo list out on Facebook, and everybody and their mother buys a bunch of them, and all of a sudden the listing's popular. Surprise, surprise. And it just tanks. And there's going to be people who need their money back, and they fire sale it, and it just kills the listing. So yeah, you're going to have a mix of that. You're also going to have people who deal with, counterfeit overseas. You just got to deal with that on your listings. Know how to get them off and know how to test it or whatnot, and just protect your listings. But there are some vendors who are honest with us. They say, hey, look, we don't care what happens online. Our prices are our prices. Buy it. And if the listing tanks, it's not our problem. And we'll buy some products. And when other stuff tanks, we don't go back to those people saying, hey, look, I can't make any money off of you. You told me I'd get it at this cost. And they said, no, we don't police it. And we respect that. That's their right. But we just know that going into what we purchase. At the same time, when we do deal with vendors who can't control their pricing, if we've got a map and agreement in place, we're willing to honor it as long as the vendor's enforcing it. And if they don't, then we usually have a negotiated out clause where we're either going to return your stuff or we're going to destroy your map as well and just get rid of our stuff and never buy from you again. It's not so much that there's no like trying to leverage buying power and who's mas macho kind of thing. It's we're going to protect our brand and our company. We're willing to work as long as it's a two-way street. So as long as they're upholding their map agreement and they're holding their vendors accountable, we will absolutely honor the relationship and whatever policies the manufacturer wants to put in place. But at the end of the day, we are not afraid to walk away from a large vendor just because it doesn't work for us.
Just a perfect example of that. We have an exclusive relationship with one of our brands right now in the toy category, and we bought so far like a container's worth of their products, and a lot of them are brand new releases, so it's not like it's an immediate sell, but it's a brand that's got some huge potential. And shortly after that container came in, or the container was shipped, I should say, from China, Toys R Us announced they were liquidating. So imagine the conference call, or my facial expression on the conference call when I asked the brand owner, hey, how much stock of yours is left at Toys R Us that's about to be slashed into half or a quarter of the price that I now need to worry about getting into the market? And he sends me over the Excel list, and there's some 55,000 items that are still in their possession. And I'm going, wow, that's not very good, because we have a problem. But again, that we then brought him a solution, saying that one of the value adds we do offer is seller / IP enforcement and map tracking and monitoring. So it's something that we're working with him on, and thankfully, fast forward a few weeks, it's not been a problem actually, because we have it under control. But initially it gives you the, oh God, because things can change like in a snap of a finger. But you've got to have a strategy, and you got to have a plan. You got to have resources available to back up your selling strategy.
And you got to be flexible. We're willing to work with that. That specific situation. It sucks for us. It also sucks for them. I mean, we can't just go back and say, hey, look, you got to make sure that none of this is going to affect us, our business. We got to make sure everything is up to par. They didn't know that Toys R Us was going to close. They actually asked if Toys R Us would give them back the stock, and they would then, we agreed, we'll purchase everything that Toys R Us has if that's the concern. Toys R Us isn't willing to do it. They're going to liquidate their brand. The owner of the company, the founder, is just as much up a creek as we are, and so we're rolling with it. We're doing as much as we can, but we have to understand that it's unforeseeable, and we can't hold him to the fire saying this is all your fault, kind of thing. We take a little bit of a downturn, but hey, if fire sales help the listings get popular and then everybody's gone when they're gone, we'll ride the wave from there.
Absolutely. Now, is that a product that you guys brought to Amazon, the Amazon Marketplace yourself, or was it already there?
The line's there. I mean, the line is a very popular line, so we're doing that, but we're bringing a lot of his products to the marketplace that didn't have listings before. So it's a mix. We get the hot selling, the top ones, but we're also bringing his other stuff online, and that's where we want those to be successful because we are the only ones with them. So we want that stuff, and we're putting a lot of investment and time into those to get them up and going. Especially before Q4, we're doing the legwork now to hopefully reap the benefits come the holiday season.
Absolutely.
Especially lucrative with a lot of vendors like the one that we're talking about, because that one in particular has a lot of licenses, like 4 or 5 that I can count off the top of my head. So obviously the licenses sell products a lot faster and a lot more volume. So it's a trade-off. There's a risk reward to it.
Absolutely. How much of your business do you feel comfortable investing into bringing a new line to market? Or does it just depend on what you believe the product will be able to do?
Yeah, I think it depends. I mean, it's a case-by-case scenario. I mean, something like it's an already established line that we are just kind of bringing on some new stuff, and if we can do the research and think it's going to be a great hit, we'll invest a decent amount just to get it up and running. But if also we're going to make $1.50 per unit, I'm not about to invest $7,000 into $1.50 if it's going to take me 2 years to make that back, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of got to look at the risk rewards on that. If it's a brand new company that doesn't exist, and we don't know if they're getting any exposure outside, if they're not doing their own marketplace and stuff like that, we're going to need some hefty profit margins for us to take that gamble, and we might not be willing to order containers to get them going. I'm not going to spend $60,000 if you've never sold a product in your life, but you have a great concept. It's just, I'd love to, but I don't have that kind of cash to just.
Right.
Keep in mind though that with the brands that aren't yet established in the market, there's a lot of research you could be doing to figure out how many people are searching for it or what the demand is for it. In terms of Amazon in general, Amazon, there's a lot of software tools that give you that data. I was in Hong Kong at the Toy Fair in January, and I met with a brand who, 100-year-old brand in established retailers left and right in the U.S. Have sold tens of millions of dollars, but not a cent has been poured into Amazon, which is astonishing, right? Because how big Amazon is. And we did some initial legwork for them, and it turns out their brand is searched on Amazon. It's coming up just with like 4 or 5 RA listings that are just completely a mess because they weren't set up properly. But their brand is searched, I think it was like over 20,000 times a month.
Oh,
so,
wow.
Something like that, it's like, we look at it and go, okay, well, it's not in the market right now, but you pretty much have a guarantee. You put that up online and you get those optimization, those listings optimized, and you pump some PPC or whatever you want into it, you're going to have a great success. So you can look at it both ways.
Absolutely. Are you guys comfortable with something like merchant words, or do you want something a little bit more robust than that for keyword research?
They all have their pros and cons. In merchant words, you got Stellar Labs products, you've got some people use Jungle Scout, you got Viral Launch now. There's so many that I feel that it really depends on the person. It depends on your strategy. It depends on what you're looking for. I mean, some people will tell you, well, one is terrible, and the other person will say, well, it's worked well for me. So I don't like saying that one is the only good one. I just think that now with all the software players in the market, there are so many potential options and so many areas that can, so many things that can help you that you might as well try them out and see what works well for you.
And I don't see any reason not to use multiple. I mean, we use multiple people to get listings up and optimized. We use multiple for research. Merchant words is great, but get as many options as you can. I'm a data hog, so I'll rather consume data from 17 sources and just analyze it day in and day out kind of thing, and look at it and pick the best and the pros from each one of them versus trying to decide which one is the best. We use the only thing I think we use one of is like a repricing program kind of thing. But outside of that, it's, if you're going to give me some sort of data and you're going to give me another piece of data and you're going to give me a different set of data, I want all three.
Okay. One of the questions here, and I know this is kind of like Amazon sellers pissing contest, if you will, but how much inventory do you guys send into Amazon at a time?
Oh crap! What month are we talking about?
Yeah, right.
Well, let's talk. I'll tell you what. Let's do it two ways. Let's do Q2, since that's where we are, and then let's do ramping up for Q4. That way we can get kind of both ends of the spectrum.
Okay.
So I'll speak to this because I'm pretty well entrenched in the logistics side of the business, but Q2 right now, weekly basis, average, I don't know, 5, 10, between 5 and 15 skids, I would say, is about norm for replenishment in terms of FBA itself. Ramping up to Q4 or getting in, to October, November. Oh, geez. I mean, thinking back to last year, there was 1 week I think I sent 5 trucks in a week, 5 full trailers.
Wow.
So that's 150-ish skids. And I literally, we couldn't keep up. There's just, we had some great selling products that were flying off the shelf, and literally by the time that truck got picked up and scheduled, he had to send more. I mean, it was, Greg and I were exchanging messages, and I was just, I told him, I'm like, look, I don't know how much faster we can do this. Honestly, just the platform is so large and so lucrative that it's just, it's every Q4 I tell myself I'm never going to do this again, and I do it again.
I mean, we try to I'd say probably like a 30 to 60 day in terms of stock. Like we try to send maybe, so we're good for about 30. There's times like, we're going to Australia in 2 weeks, and then he's going to Rocky Mountain, and after that, so we might then beef up and send a little bit more, maybe send 2 months worth on hand. When it comes to Q4, the last thing you want to do is run out. Not to mention, you then have to deal with every year Amazon is different in terms of, are they on top of their game, or are they 10 times worse than last year? So Q4, we might send 4 months worth of stock in 1 week just because of that's how it is. We got a product right now that we're selling maybe, I want to say maybe 10 a day. It's a fine, but in Q4 we were selling, I want to say it was close to 1,000 a week, somewhere around there, of that same product. And so at that point, when you get 4,000 on a truck, and this is when we were sharing the listing, so then you're trying to watch your competitors, that if there's 4 people sharing the listing and you're selling 1,000 a day, we were sending 4,000 on a time on a truck just because not many people keep up. That if they don't keep up with the stock, they're going to be out. Then you're just going to pick up their sales. I mean, at that point, and when it was done and the Q4 was over, we didn't regret having 7,000 extra on hand. We pulled it all back because it's not needed now. But that's just kind of it was worth it. When you're selling multiple years worth of quantity in one freaking month.
Right, and I would imagine it was over MSRP.
Oh, yeah.
Fairly, yeah.
Absolutely.
We bought that product, or I found that product at a show, and when I found it, we were like breaking even, maybe losing $1, honestly. But I knew that I was buying the rest of the stock. It was a vendor's product that was being phased out. It's like 55,000 left or something like that. I just knew, I'm like, well, hey, if we have to lose a little bit or break even for 3-4 months, that's fine, because I know in Q4 this is going to be a real hot seller. I mean, it was ranked really well back then. And in Q4, I mean, we had that thing down to, I think, 200 or 300 in toys in Q4. So it was awesome. It was an awesome seller.
We go from making 50 cents to 75 cents per unit at a time like this, which is fine. But when you can double to triple the price and all of a sudden go from $1 profit to $14 to $15 per unit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just,
Oh yeah.
we kind of, that's the benefit of having the warehouse and having the logistics set up and kind of future thinking about that kind of stuff is you can jump on some of those hot buys. And that's where it goes back to some of the vendors where if you're not making great profit on their listings or whatnot, but you got that relationship and they're willing to kick you some of these, hey, I got a bunch of stock I got to get rid of. Can you take it off my hands kind of things? You know, we jump on those all the time.
So in that same vein, tell me a little bit about your guys' actual operation. Do you guys have, you guys have 20 people, taking care of your inventory? Is it just you guys? How does that look?
1, 2, yeah, it's just us.
Pretty much us.
We got VAs for certain stuff. We do bring in some people during Q4. When I say people, I mean 1 or 2 when we need it, kind of thing. But keeps us on our toes. We're very, very busy. But we run all of this ourselves. So the question came up in chat before. No, we don't have any salary employees or anything like that. We do it all ourselves.
We also leverage, like we were talking about earlier, that we leverage 3PL if we have to. So we have a good 3PL that we trust. Chris, don't die on us, please. We have a good 3PL in the area that we do trust that during those busy times or when we have a lot of stuff that we just couldn't handle with 2 people, that we will trust them with, and there's a whole team there that can help us. So in no way, shape, or form am I saying that we do this whole business, from start to finish with just us. That's not what we're trying to say. We're trying to say that in our physical space, 9 times out of 10, it's the 2 of us. And then, when we need to, we do outsource. But that's strategy in business, is to outsource when you need it.
Absolutely, that's fantastic. I should come and work for free for you guys for like a week and pack boxes and learn everything. Yeah. So one of the questions that from Facebook was, since you guys do all of this yourselves, what tools would you suggest, or what tools do you guys use to list, manage your inventory and all of that, both on Amazon or do you use anything different for any of your other channels?
So this is a tricky one because our business is so different from the typical seller because we're on so many different channels and we sell through the non-typical type of just marketplace, right? So for us, we use our own software that we have internally that's not like a generally available software that works well for our operation. So while it's not really answering the question or helping the people who are wondering about this, how I answer it is you have to look at your own business and you have to evaluate, what platforms are you on and what tools do you need, and then just kind of work backwards and find the solutions that cover those, right? So like, for example, if someone says, hey, I want to sell on eBay, Amazon, Walmart, and Jet, just use those 4, right? Well, Walmart, for example, Walmart and Jet require a integration partner. So right then and there, you can go to their integration partner list and you can eliminate probably 30 different people because they're not an integration partner. So now you're down to your 5 core services that will work, right? So that's how I look at it. Is I work backwards. I find out what the requirements are of the outlets that I have, and then I pool those together. I'll do demos if I have to, and I'll find the solution that works best for me as a business.
I mean, in terms of outsourcing software, it just comes down to knowing your strengths. Don't waste time on something that you're not good at. If you're not good at accounting, you shouldn't be sitting here trying to do all the taxes for Amazon and stuff yourself. You should probably just outsource that. When it comes to repricing software, if you've got 4 SKUs, why on earth are you paying for a repricing program? You can do that. When you're dealing with 80 to 100 SKUs, why on earth are you sitting here trying to keep up with repricing yourself? You should be in a repricing program, something like that. Some of the repricing programs will have stock counts as well, but for the most part, if we set aside a certain time of the week or whatnot that we can look at stock and to see what we're getting low on. And I mean, Amazon does send us notifications on certain stuff. Some of them are useless. If it's a product I can't get anymore or don't want to get, they don't know my cost, but you can just go through in the beginning of the week and figure out what you're going to be running low on based off of what you're selling. They provide enough information, and then figure out what you need to order again.
I mean, I can tell you on the repricing side, if you want a specific example, like we use App Eagle for repricing for Amazon, just naming softwares. But I mean, I just logged into our account right now. Over 5,000 price changes in the last 24 hours.
That's incredible.
So, you're going to tell me that you can sit there and do that? It's not possible.
That's incredible. Now, and you guys said, you can figure out the alerts and you can replenish yourself. Are you guys at a point where that's what you do? You just maybe have a spreadsheet, or you figure out, what's going on, or are you guys at a point where you do use something like, what's the name of that?
I like Restock Pro.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a fan of their software. I know there's some other ones out there, but that's the one I've been most familiar with. But again, you have to understand that, when we're talking about that I use App Eagle or that I use Restock Pro, we're talking about Amazon FBA, and you have to understand that we have a lot of channels that are offline that we also have to forecast for. So in that case, we have to be a little bit more manual, because there isn't a software that was built for acting as a distributor, for example. It doesn't work that way, right? So there are parts of our business that we have to keep tabs on, from a very close angle, because the only person that can really do that well is us.
Fascinating. Now, I've got one of the questions was, where would you go after Amazon? What would be your suggestion for the next marketplace to conquer?
Outside of, like, if you were on Amazon and you wanted another outlet?
Yeah, let's say you're ready to move outside of Amazon. What do you think it should be?
I think I'm going to throw in there. I think that it really, again, depends on the product you have, right? Like if you're selling a lot of like I know a seller who does a lot of handmade stuff, right? So that seller would be awesome on Etsy, right? But a seller who is selling toys and games and electronics and housewares is do well on that platform. So I don't think it's really a good idea to say, oh yeah, try this platform and try that platform. I say, again, look at it from your business and figure out what you have to bring to the table, what you need to succeed in with the inventory that you have, and then make a decision from there. Whether it be something like Etsy or a Walmart or a Jet or eBay, or maybe going to your own website for that matter. If you can drive the traffic, who knows? I think it really just depends on the business. Again, I stress that so many times, but I'm just a true believer in that.
Yeah, it goes along. But I mean, I'd say you can also look at expanding international on Amazon if that's good for your products and your market. You can look at that as an option. If you've got the capabilities to get on Walmart and do with the channel integration, then you can look at Walmart. If you don't, you can look at things like Newegg or something, or eBay. We actually got banned from eBay for a while. We were back, so but that's an option. You just have to play by their rules. We didn't get banned for anything bad. They just didn't know what we were doing and didn't like our receipts and just banned us. Then we're on Groupon as well. Groupon's one that, not that I can just say anybody can get on Groupon, but we're really exploring that, because that is I feel an untapped market as well. So it's really just, there's not one that you should go to. But like Eddie said, I don't know crap about arts and crafts, so you're never going to see me on Etsy. But if I made handmade stuff, I know you can make a sick killing on Etsy if you've got stuff and the profit margins in there.
Absolutely. Interesting. So let's say, I'm sure we have someone on here who's either new or hasn't started their FBA business. What would you suggest to someone today just getting started? How do they learn? What do they do first? Where should they focus instead of just
Now more than ever, honestly, I think it's so critical to understand the rules of the platform. Amazon has just buckled down on that so much more, and we can say this coming from being in the platform for many years. If we did half the stuff that we did in 2012, I'm not saying that we broke the rules, but just if we operated the way we did in 2012, just listing whatever we found and letting it sell, we'd have problems with Amazon, because we're not doing that quality control that they rely on from their sellers to protect their customer, right? So I think now more than ever, you have to understand the platform, how it works, how Amazon, everything revolves around the customer. You're a seller, you could do 7, 8, 9, 10 figures, whatever, doesn't matter. A customer that's buying $10 is still more valuable than you as a seller. That's the way Amazon works. So it's so critical you understand that the rules, the policies, how how the seller aspect works. And now we have all these Facebook groups and all these resources available that that will answer these questions, and you can read about other people's questions and posts, and kind of get your head wrapped around it. And if you're still confused, you can ask more questions. But that's again, that's a tool that we didn't have when we first started. And not to say that I would have buried my head in it if we had it, but again, it's just a resource that is there now, so might as well use it.
What's a mistake that you guys made that taught you a really valuable lesson in your business?
Greg's good at this. Let's go.
A mistake we've made. I mean, all the mistakes, I think we've made so many bad buys, just not doing our research enough in advance in terms of can we sell it or not, and just how do we get it there. And so you've got those, a dime a dozen. I can count countless things we bought and being willing to lose money on. That's one thing is you got to understanding the financial aspects of business is critical. So you need to understand when you need to take your personal emotions out of your decisions. You can buy something and you can invest a lot of money into something and get it in-house and get it up there and the listing tanks. And at that point, it's what you decide to do. Do you keep your emotions and your pride so tight against you that you're like, I'm never reducing costs. I'm never going to take this for a loss. And I'm just going to sit here and ride this out. And 9 months later, you still haven't sold half the product that you needed to sell to get the money back to reinvest into the business. That's a mistake in my mind. That goes back to, I have made some bad decisions, but the moment I've got product there, I have to look at it as, it's okay to lose money on something if it means getting my money back and being able to reinvest it into something else, and just kind of keeping that in the back of the mind. You got to take emotions out of this. You can't have it when you're doing business. So, this is our livelihoods. This is me and Eddie. We own this. So our livelihoods are on the line, and and it is truly something we take very personal, but it's business. I can't come in here and just kind of be too stubborn to make a bad decision, and to not be willing to make the right decision at the time, even if I have to take a hit to my pride. And I guess the other one is relationships, man. Don't burn bridges with the people you need them. You never know when somebody's going to come back to you with a deal they didn't have in the past. Just consistency and building those relationships. Things will come your way long term. I'm a big believer in karma, but you can't burn relationships. You got to be willing to do the right thing and help people out, and it'll all come back to you. But it's all about networking and relationships in this industry.
I'll just add one more piece to that. To Greg's first point is that trust who you're working with and who you go into business with. It's so critical. I mean, Greg will agree with me here, but there's so many times that Greg and I will call each other just to talk to each other just to vent on something that just is bothering us. And there's so many times that something will be upsetting us personally with the business that we just have to take a break and just let it sit for a while and then come back to it, because you make bad decisions when you decide with emotion, right? So I tell them all the time, like, if I have to take a step back for a second and not deal with something, I'd rather do that and come back to it, because I'll have a fresh head, right? So it's just as you go into the business and as you grow, especially, it's really critical that you're able to do that.
And in terms of if you do have a business partner, to elaborate on that trust, you do have to trust somebody like 100%. Between Eddie and I, we don't work together that often, to be honest. He travels way more than I do. So I need to be in the warehouse when he's gone. He's in the warehouse and I'm here working from home or whatnot. I'm going to make purchases without consulting with him every damn day. I don't have time to be able to do that. On the flip side, the other week, like, I knew he was going to a trade show, and this is no joke. The other week, he all of a sudden posts that he's in China, and I was like, oh, I didn't know this thing was in China. Like, I didn't know what country it was in. I mean, that's just the point. Like, he's not going to come back to me and try to keep me up to date with his schedule. I trust him 100% to do whatever he needs to do with the business, and I'm doing whatever I need to do with the business, and we're in sync. But you got to have trust with who you're working with.
How many trust falls did that take?
Oh, well, in the very beginning, we kept everything separate. We were working together in the same company. He bought his crap, and I bought my gold mine. And
well,
and then when he actually started to stop buying used garbage.
No. You failed to explain, okay, that it was your idea in the first place, that you said, oh, let's make 2 separate bank accounts. Let's make 2 separate Amazon accounts. And by the way, not get permission. and let's do everything separately, because that's smart. And let's not commingle anyone's funds, even though we both own the business. It's just all personal, by the way. It was a joke.
Sorry. This is what
That's
keeps
great.
us going through the day.
All right, we've been on here an hour, and I don't want to take all you guys' time. I know you got a family. We've all got things to do. Tell us about Own Your Breakthrough. Tell us about the group. Tell us why we should be in there, what we're going to learn, and all that.
So Own Your Breakthrough is essentially the premium extension of Wholesale Breakthrough. It's a collaborative wholesale community. What I mean by that is, nowadays if you're looking to learn wholesale, not to knock any courses, I mean there's some great courses out there, but in our experience, people have learned the best by building a business that works for them. So if I'm to go to someone and say, hey, take my course and I'll teach you how to do wholesale, it might not be what works well for somebody, and they might not understand it. They might not be able to scale or grow with it, right? So we designed Own Your Breakthrough with the individual seller in mind. And we came up with Own Your Breakthrough because it's a very customized approach to you. It allows you to own your breakthrough, right? So it's a flat fee per month, $69.99 a month, gets you into the program. So what that gets you is one-on-one access with both me and Greg in our Facebook group, over email, on Facebook Messenger. You can ping us with questions on anything you have, anything that you're wondering about, any of the things that have gone through your mind on this chat. We're here to be your resource and guide you in the right direction and give you, kind of resources that we've used in our business and kind of steer you in the right direction. On top of that, we feel that is a tremendous value in itself per month, but we've partnered with a lot of the software tools and resources and selling partners in the marketplace today to kind of expand that program. So people like Inventory Lab, TaxJar, Merchant Words, Ecom Engine for like Restock Pro, Crow Merchant, Bubble Fast, Uline. Those are all partners within our program, right? So they give our members exclusive promos. Uline, for example, free shipping on anything over $300, right? A lot of people hate Uline because the shipping is so expensive. It's free for our group. FreightJoy Logistics is one that, I don't know if you guys know Dale Lenz. He's in a lot of the groups. Great guy. He does a lot of logistics work for Amazon sellers looking to send into the fulfillment centers. He's offering a free consultation on logistics. Like if you don't understand that, if that's not your strong suit, it's great. Bubble Fast, 15% off of FBA supplies, and then the other software tools like Inventory Lab, TaxJar, all those guys, they're offering between 10 and 20% off their software every month. Some extended trials, free trials, things like that. So, the value is there. And it's something that we really, again, tried to design with the individual seller in mind. And again, called Own Your Breakthrough. If you want to find out more about the program, just head right to our website. It's all there for you. wholesalebreakthrough.com/OYB.
And you guys, that I just posted something that everybody should be able to see. You can click on it and learn all about it. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Greg.
I was gonna say, really the only thing it won't do is we don't just provide a bunch of suppliers where you can go buy a product. That's a question we get every now and then. But that's really the only thing we won't do. If you've got questions on ordering your first shipment from California to the US and you need help on either getting logistics partner or logistics quotes, we'll help you with that. You're going to your first trade show and you've got questions on how would I establish some of these calendar invites and what do I reach out to and the kind of conversations I have. That's the kind of consulting thing that we're willing to work with. We just don't have the bandwidth, obviously, to consult with people one-on-one, and that's why we started to build this community out. But
we really truly believe in the value that it provides. It's a month-to-month contract, so you get in it, you don't like it, we're not going to hold you to it. But we truly feel that value is there. That's why we don't require a yearly commitment. Ramon just asked that question. But with the partnerships that we've added and the direct access to us, and by the way, you're in our Own Your Breakthrough Facebook group, which is with the other members that are in the program, so you'll be able to collaborate with not just us, but with other people as well. It's truly set up for your success.
Absolutely. That's awesome. There's not many places where you can access guys who have I know you guys aren't going to share numbers or anything, but I know you guys have a great business, and so there's not many places where you can access people who have success like this. Everybody that it's showing on your screen should show you exactly where to go. I would suggest you take a moment, check it out. Eddie and Greg are really, really smart and should be able to help you out. Any parting words or anything before we wrap this thing up, guys?
I like to tell people that be okay with failure, and be okay with being willing to try things multiple times before you find success. Even today in our business, we're now in our 6th year. There are many things that I tried that don't work out the first time, or that don't go as planned. And you can't get hung up on your failures. You have to work past them, figure out what didn't work well, shift your focus, adapt if you will, and then try again. Sometimes it'll take multiple tries, but this is not this business, this model, especially with Amazon changing the way it is not it's not a get rich quick scheme. So it's going to take patience, and it's going to take a lot of hard work.
Yeah, and just have a good time with it. This shouldn't be life is just work and work is just life kind of thing. Have fun with what you're doing. You can try new things and be okay with failure, like Eddie said, and grow a thick skin. Sales. We like to say that we're not in sales, but you really are. You're going to get rejection left and right. It happens to us every day. We have people say, no, we don't want to do business with you. Fine, look, Ricky, on to the next one. There's thousands and millions and hundreds of millions of brands out there who are willing to have people help grow their product lines and get their products out in front of consumers. So just keep on going every day. It's just a little bit of a challenge, but have a good time. We love what we do, and we wouldn't be doing it if we didn't. So it's challenging, but at the same time, we wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, guys, one thing I did promise everybody a freebie. I had my VA go through and actually grab all the ASD vendors. I know that's one show that Eddie goes to. I'm not sure if it's his favorite, and I kept from asking what trade shows to go to. But you guys can have that for free. It's phone numbers and websites and all that stuff. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to spend an hour with me, and thanks so much, guys. I think there's a lot of really great takeaways here.
Thanks for setting up. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for hosting this.
Yep.
Have a great one, guys.
Jim.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.